Right. More coming up. Cool. All right. So now we learned what pitching is. We know pitching is convincing someone or persuade, talking to someone in a persuasive manner. They end up liking an idea. That is pitching. And we learn why pitching is important to us now. All right. So why pitching is important? The first one. So now we are in quarantine, right? Curfew, and you can't go to work. So we talk to random people and we ended up finding quarantine crushes. I guess you find quarantine crushes, right? So when you're asking out your quarantine crush, you need to pitch yourself in a way that they like you back. That is pitching. You need to pitch yourself so they like you back. Sometimes they are going to spend the rest of their lives with you. So why you need to convince them why they should pick you over the other fish in the sea, right? And then the second one, getting selected to your dream job. So we all have a dream job with us, right? We all have that big audacious goal that we want to work in a big multinational company, right? So for that job, we all know that there will be more qualified people who are applying for the position we want to apply. There will be more qualified people than you. There'll be more experienced people than you. There'll be sports superstars who are applying for that same job. So you need to convince the people who are interviewing you why they need to pick you over the other candidates for that same job position. You get what I mean? You need to pitch yourself so they pick you instead of all the others who have applied for the same job. And the third one, it is the most obvious one when we are selling a product or an idea. So when we are selling a product or an idea, we need to convince people, here's my product, here's my idea, and this is what we are going to do. And we want to make sure that they end up liking our idea. Okay. Now, let's go to the next story I have to tell you. So this is a simple story about a friend of mine. Okay, so we talk a lot, right? So my friend had this idea to get into real estate. It was like his dream job. And I'm going to tell you the story about how my friend got hired for his job over the first phone call he made. Okay, so when I ask you to think of a food franchise, what is the name which comes to your mind? It should be McDonald's, right? McDonald's is the world's #1 food franchise. When I ask you to think of a real estate company, real estate franchise, the #1 real estate franchise in the world is Remax. Okay, so my friend found out that there is an introductory session about real estate entrepreneurship at Remax. Okay, I find at Remax. Okay, so he called the hotline that was given in that poster, and fortunately for him, the person who answered was the head of recruitment at Remax Arco Real Estate. So my friend was talking to the HR head of that company, and he was asking questions about real estate. He was asking about entrepreneurship, how that real estate and entrepreneurship could like they mingle that idea. About that, he was keen and he was asking for it. And let me tell you, he had no background in real estate. He had zero background. He did not have real estate experience, or his family was not coming from a real estate background. Okay, but in that phone call, in that few minutes, he convinced that person on the other side, HR head, that he was actually passionate about what he was talking about. So for a company, for company like Remax, CEOs or vice presidents, they sign up from their they resign from their jobs and they come to join at Remax because it's such a rewarding job. So my friend, who had no prior experience, got hired to Remax on his first ever phone call to the company. All right, so that's the first story I want to tell. The second story is how my friend won one of the prestigious awards at University of Sri Jawadhanapura. Okay, so in University of Sri Jawadhanapura, there's this award called Best Employability Skills Award. That award is given to the person with the highest talent highest talent and the most overall talent. Okay, so for that award, people from the entire faculty apply. The batch tops, the sports captain, the presidents of clubs and societies, the entrepreneurs, the innovators, everyone applies because it's such a recognized job in the corporate field. Okay, so my friend also applied, and he was telling me how he had the odds against the other people, because he was not good enough. He felt that he was not good enough, and he was not able to compete with the other talents which were there, because he was not the backstop, he was not a sports captain, he was not an entrepreneur, he was not a president of a club or a society. So all the odds were against him. Right. So after the first round, he got through to the semifinals. Right. So at the semifinals, you have to do a presentation for a panel of corporate judges. So they are from multinational companies in Sri Lanka, and they are the ones who are there to judge you. And you have to do a 15-minute presentation about everything you have done in your life. So my friend went there, and he had 15 minutes to tell the things he did in 22 years of his life. And he went there and told them and pitched himself. All right. So he told the judges why they should pick him over the other backstops, over the other people who were already having their own startups, the other innovators, other patent holders of his faculty. And he convinced everybody. All right. So, and finally, he got the award. And from his experiences only, and the tips I got from him are the things I'm going to teach you today. All right. So, my first question to you guys, can you guess who that friend is? Anyone? Can you guess who my friend is? Okay, we have an answer in chat. Oh, Savindi is saying Elon Musk. Right. Okay. So Savindi, I wish Elon Musk was a friend of mine, because my dream job is to work at his company Tesla. Right. Okay. So any others? All right. Diluak is saying it's me. Right. Yes. It's me. Everyone's saying it's me. Right. So yes, it's me, guys. So the friend of mine whom I was talking about is me. Thank you. Everybody gets points. All right. So this is a picture of mine working at Remax Arco Real Estate. Currently, I manage a real estate portfolio, property portfolio of over 300 million Sri Lankan rupees. Just let it sink in. I manage a portfolio over 300 million Sri Lankan rupees. And the crown jewel of the properties I own is an apartment in Mount Lavinia. It's the entire apartment building, not just one apartment. The entire apartment building is up for sale, and I'm the only person in the entire world who has the exclusive rights to sell it. And the funny story is, it's owned by a British knight, knighthooded by the Queen of England, right? So when I went up to talk to him, all the odds were in against me, right? I was young, I did not have much real estate experience, but I convinced him to trust me to sell his property. All right. So I'll be taking you guys through a bit of the techniques and the things I use when I used to pitch things like that. And then this is the award I got for the best employability skills award from University of Sri Jayawardenepura. Okay, now I think you all are excited to learn those tips that I told you about. A fundamental difference, right? In the first slide, I told you about a fundamental difference between the way we pitch and the way it is received by our client. All right, from the next slide onwards, that is what we are going to learn. We are going to find what is that fundamental difference, and we are going to find how to address that difference in order to make a better pitch, right? Okay, now I'm going to give you a little science lesson. I hope you are good at science. No, it's a 2-minute science lesson so we can understand how our brain functions when you approach a client, right? Okay, so the first part of the brain which was developed was called the crocodile brain. This brain was developed 5 million years ago. Okay, and then the second part of the brain which was developed was the midbrain, and the third one was the neocortex. So these were found by neuroscientists, and they found that our brain was developed in 3 major stages. All right, so let's see what these 3 parts of the brain does. Okay, the first part is the crocodile brain. Now read. Crocodile brain triggers flight or fight responses. Let that sink in. So the crocodile brain triggers fight or flight responses. So if you are standing down a tree, near a tree, and a dog comes barking at you, are you going to count the mass of the dog and the acceleration he's coming towards you? Are you going to count the force and calculate how much of a force he's coming at you? No, you're going to get up and run the hell out of that place, right? So the crocodile brain lets you face those kind of situations. And then we have the midbrain. The midbrain determines the meaning of things and social situations. Okay. And then the most advanced part of the brain, the neocortex, it is evolved with a problem solving ability, and it is able to think about complex issues and produce answers using reason. So the neocortex, what neocortex does is it does critical thinking for us. When a problem arises, it does critical thinking and find answers for that problem. Okay. So the thing I want to highlight to you is this is the most important part of our session. What is the most important part of our session? So when we are pitching something, okay, we know everything about the product. We know the facts, we know the figures, we are enthusiastic about our pitch. So when we are pitching something like that, we are pitching from our neocortex. We are pitching from the most advanced part of our brain. And what I used to think is, so if I am pitching from my neocortex, my client should be listening to me from their neocortex as well. And that's where I was wrong. Actually, when I'm pitching to someone, when we all are pitching to someone, imagine a situation where you are pitching to someone. That is the most probably the first time you're meeting that person. Or when you're doing a cold call, that is the first time you're speaking to that person and you're trying to pitch something that that person has no idea about. So instead of using the neocortex, the client is listening to us using their crocodile brain. Okay, so that was the fundamental difference. When I thought when I'm pitching with the neocortex, my client is listening to me with their neocortex as well, but I was dead wrong. They are listening to me from their crocodile brain. And guys, that is the fundamental difference I told you in the beginning. When we are pitching something, there is a fundamental difference between the way we pitch and the way it is received by our client, and that this is that fundamental difference. The client does not want any details. He's looking at you, or he's answering the phone and thinking, should I trust this person, or is this going to be a scam? That is all he's thinking. And we need to convince his crocodile brain, no, we are not something like that. We are here to give you something actually valuable. Okay, so that is that fundamental difference. And now we know that fundamental difference, and if we can find the answer to switching that crocodile brain of the client into the neocortex, and then our pitches will be successful. Okay, let it sink in again. We understood the fundamental difference, that is when we are pitching from the neocortex, client is listening to us from their crocodile brain. So we need to switch the crocodile brain of the client to the neocortex in order to make our pitches successful. Okay, we have more people coming in. Give me a second. Right. Now let's see how to switch that crocodile brain to the neocortex. That is why we are here to learn, right? We need to change that crocodile brain to the neocortex of the client. Okay. So the first thing we need to do is feed it big, obvious chunks of concrete data. The data you give the crocodile brain needs to be concrete. You can't call the client and say, hey, do you know the president of Sri Lanka is Donald Trump? The client is straight away going to know it's wrong. So when you give those false kind of information at the beginning, their brain is going to think this is another scam. This person is calling me to get my money out of me, and this is going to be a scam. So the brain feels threatened. So what you need to do is to make the crocodile brain feel at ease. When it's threatened, it's not passing any information to the neocortex. So you need to make the crocodile brain feel at ease. That's the first point we need to know. And the second one is we need to feed new and exciting facts and figures. So we need to tell the crocodile brain here from this pitch, like when you are pitching, you need to tell interesting facts and figures. You can say, if you are pitching a real estate deal, you can say even a Sri Lankan cricketer is on board with us. My Remax friends who are here knows what I'm talking about, right? So we sometimes pitch that part also. And finally, we need to feed pictures and simple explanation. That is also important. So imagine you are at a university lecture, or you are at a virtual, now these days we have virtual lectures now. So when we are at a virtual lecture and suddenly the professors comes and start explaining abstract concepts which your mind can't understand, then your crocodile brain is telling that this lecture is going to use so much of your brain power, just ignore it. That's what your crocodile brain says, just ignore it. Then you shape okay, pull out your smartphone and texting your quarantine crush, because texting your quarantine crush is much more exciting than listening to a virtual lecture which is going to use so much of your brain power. Okay, cool. Up to that part you understood. So we realized what the fundamental difference is, and now we are trying to address that fundamental difference. So we need to convert the crocodile brain, we need to make the client's crocodile brain feel at ease. We need to make sure that it does not feel threatened. So when you do that for about 5 minutes, it switches from the crocodile brain to the midbrain, and midbrain does not hold information there any long. So it transfers quickly to the neocortex. So you are at where you want to be right now. So you switch from crocodile brain to the neocortex. All right. So imagine now we are in a situation we are pitching to the client's neocortex as well. So we need to know few facts and few techniques in order to actually nail our pitch. Now we did the first part of our pitch. We switched it from crocodile to neocortex. Now we need to seal the deal. So now I'm going to tell you few techniques we can use, the few methods we should follow when we are pitching to the neocortex. Okay, so I call them rules of engagement. All right, so there are 6 rules of engagement. The first one is setting the frame. All right, so imagine the frame something like an invisible magnetic field around all of us. So when we are meeting a client, our magnetic field, our invisible magnetic field and their invisible magnetic field, they are in a death match. They are trying to win over each other, and only one frame can win. Frames cannot coexist. Only one frame can win. The frame that wins the game. It's something like that. So it controls the agenda. All right. So when you can win the frame game, when you are meeting the client, it makes the client accept what you are saying rather than backing off. It makes the client acknowledge what you're saying. So the first important thing is winning the frame. And the second one is telling the story. The story must be brief and the subject must be relevant to your pitch. So at the start of this pitch, I told you a story about a friend of mine. Okay, so it was brief and it was relevant to the session we were doing. So I told you how my friend used the ability of pitching in order to turn the odds which were against him in his favor, right? So the second thing we should do is telling the story. And then the third one is revealing the intrigue. Reveal the intrigue. Intrigue is provocative information that arouses curiosity. Okay, so in a pitch, we need to make sure that there are facts and figures like that which arouses curiosity. So even it doesn't matter if you take your client's crocodile brain to the neocortex, if you give them boring information, that neocortex is again going to shut down. So you need to give intrigue pins throughout your pitch. You need to give provocative and curious information that they lean forward and try to grasp what you're saying. And then you need to offer the price. Okay, see, now we pass 3 steps and then only we offer the price. So that is important. If we skip any of these steps and then if we offer the price, then our pitch will be failed. So we need to follow these steps. All right, and then you need to nail the hook point. Hold on, we have people. Okay, we need to nail the hook point. Hook point is the place in presentation where listeners become emotionally engaged. So now you did all the hard work. You spoke to the neocortex of your client, and you need to nail that hook point where they become emotionally attached with the product you are selling. Okay, so that is nailing the hook point. And then you have to get the deal done. That if you don't do that, the entire process we followed is in vain. right? So the explanation I have given is get the deal done. You know what it means, right? It basically means getting the deal done, right? Okay, so you need to if we are selling houses, like, so my friends in real estate know, so when we are selling houses, everything comes to a close. Like the client is saying, I'm going to buy that property next week, but until the deal is done, we know nothing is guaranteed, because things can go wrong within that week. We definitely know that. So getting the deal done and following up with your client is also important. Okay, so now we learned that fundamental gap, and we learned how to address that gap. And after addressing that gap, we learned the rules of engagement. Now listen, now take a look at this. These methods I told you form a word called strong, the acronym strong. So that in that way also you can remember this word. So that's why I named it strong rules of engagement, right? So we are keeping the client engaged throughout. Okay. Now let's think of the afterthought we should always think when we do a pitch. Okay, so there are two questions we should always ask ourselves when we have made a presentation or a pitch. That's a must. We need to ask ourselves that. Otherwise, if we do not reflect on the things we have done, we cannot improve. All right. So the first question you need to ask yourself is, did I get through? You need to ask yourself, did I get through from the crocodile brain of the client to the neocortex? Was I able to do that? So that's the first question you need to ask. And the second one was my message well received? Did the client understand all the key points I needed to tell him? Was he interested? Did he ask questions from me regarding that? Was he aware of it? So those are the things you need to consider. The first one is, did I get through? Hello, am I clear? Is the voice breaking still, guys? Okay, cool. All right. So in this slide, if you missed any part of that slide, so it's just you need to think yourself. You need to think after you do a pitch. Did I get through the message, and was my message well received? Those are two important questions you need to ask yourself, right? And then I'm going to teach you another technique which I use in my day-to-day life when I'm pitching something to a client. It is called the 4P technique, right? There are 4 P's in that technique. The first one is the promise. So when I started this session, in the first slide itself, I told you that there is a fundamental difference, and I promise you that I'm going to teach you what that fundamental difference is and the answer to solve it. Now at this point, I have given you that answer already. Now there are more things you need to learn, and there are more things I'm going to show you in a practical way, right, in this latter half of the session. So, and you need to make your client picture what you're actually trying to sell. So let's imagine you are trying to sell after Corona, you're trying to sell clients travel packages. You're trying to sell a client trip on a cruise ship. You need to make him picture it. You need to make him understand what are the feelings that he's going to get when he walks into a cruise ship, when he see the entire sea around him, like that. And what we do in real estate, we also make, when we take clients to view houses, we make him feel at home. We make him feel how he and the kids would play in the garden. Those are the things that gets your client attract. It's not the money, it's not the pricing for some people, it's the emotional feeling. That's why many people buy cars like Ferrari, even though they are absolutely absurdly expensive, right? They end up buying it because they picture themselves in it, they picture going to parties in it, right? So that picturing, you need to make your client picture what is the emotional experience related to the product you're selling, and then you need to give proof. So in my presentation also, by telling you the story of my friend, I gave you proof that the methods I'm going to teach you in this session are actually going to work in your life as well. And then most important part is the pitch. All right, so those are the 4 P's. But there is a fifth P I have included, and I think that is the most important one when when you want to sell something to someone. It is passion. Without passion, no matter how hard you try, no matter what techniques you use, you're gonna give up eventually. But for me to do my first real estate deal, it took me 6 months, and I never gave up. Even though there were times so hard, I never gave up. So I had that passion to get the things done and to get it done, right? So passion is very important. So the fifth P is passion. All right, so now we learned the 4P technique as well. Now let's go to a practical scenario. So this scene from the movie Wolf of the Wall Street is a very famous scene if you have watched the movie. So Jordan Belfort or Leonardo DiCaprio, he pulls out a pen and he asks to sell this pen to himself. Okay, so now I have with me a Parker all aluminum gold plated pen right here. Okay, so there are two ways a salesperson could sell this pen. Okay, one salesperson could talk all about the product. Yeah, so he can say, look at this, it's all aluminum, 24 karat plated. This is was #1 brand. So this is the price. So are you interested in buying that? So you can talk about the product and tell the price, and you can make the client want to buy it. But there is a second method you can use. You can make him picture and you can make him emotionally engaged with the experience of using the pen. So the second salesperson can pitch it like this. Sir, hold this pen. Now imagine you are signing the biggest deal of your life. And when you're going to sign, imagine you're pulling out an Atlas pen which is chewed upon and which is dirty, and you're going to give it to the client to sign it. What will that what is the impression that's going to leave it to your client? Now imagine pulling out this German engineered pen from your pocket, which feels like a feather in your hand, and then giving it to the client. What would you feel? Would you feel different? And from the day you buy this pen, imagine all the late nights you're going to look at this pen and see, I'm going to work for that one deal, for the deal of my life. Okay, so you can think that. So sir, this is a limited edition Parker pen which is all aluminum, and we are giving it a 25% off discount today only. And because this is limited edition, even your CEO can't buy it. But since you are my first customer today, I am offering you this pen. It is 20%, 25% off. The deal lasts only for today. Okay, so do you think the second pitch would not work? In this scenario, it actually worked because I ended up buying this pen and it left me with a huge hole in my wallet. All right. So that salesperson who sold me this pen, what he did was he made me emotionally engaged. He pitched it in a way that I pictured myself doing that deal, signing that deal, and he made me want to buy that pen. All right. So so in the 4P technique also we discussed, the second P was making your client picture using your product. All right, so that's that. So was it clear? Now is the 4P technique clear for you? Okay, so I'm going to give you a little history lesson. Earlier we learned a science lesson about our brain. Yeah, now we are going to learn, I'm going to give you a history lesson. Okay, so I'm going to tell you about the presentation of the DNA structure. Okay, in 1953, James Watson and Francis Crick, they discovered the structure, molecular structure of the DNA, and it was considered the most important scientific discovery of the 20th century, and they won the Nobel Prize for it. Okay, so in 1953, they won the Nobel Prize for the discovery of the DNA. So now imagine how long their presentation was. From introduction to telling about the secret of the living beings on the entire planet. They found the secret of the secret structure of the living beings on the entire planet. They explained it, and then they won the Nobel Prize. Guess how long their presentation was? It was just 5 minutes long. The entire presentation, which was considered as the most important scientific discovery and the presentation which won the Nobel Prize. So if that presentation was 5 minutes, do you think your presentation should be 1 hour long? No, it never should be. So a pitch you are doing, a presentation you are doing should be maximum 20 minutes. Because after 20 minutes, guys, your clients, they are going to lose interest and they are going to forget the information you put into their brain. So maximum on maximum scenarios, your pitch should be maximum 20 minutes long, right? And I divided those 20 minutes also. So firstly, what you need to do is introduce yourself and the big idea. So that's a must. You need to introduce yourself and make the client believe that you are a credible person. And then you need to tell your big idea, the problems your idea can solve, likewise. But when I say this, many people think that the big idea should be explained more than 7 minutes, right? It should be explained at least 15 minutes. That's what they think. But this is the first pitch you're doing to the client. And they do not want your deal right now. They don't want to go into the details, guys. They just want to learn what are the problems that your product is solving. Okay, the second one is explain the budget and the secret sauce. We all know what a budget is, right? But do you know what a secret sauce is? Secret sauce is the thing that puts your product, gives the competitive advantage for your product over the other products in the market. Okay, so secret sauce is what makes your product better than the other products in the market. So for that you need to take about 10 minutes to explain, because you can take 5 minutes to the budget, or 4 minutes to the budget, and 6 minutes to the secret sauce. And then you need to offer the deal. You need to make sure that they understand what they will get in return for taking the deal. So if you have an idea that you want investors to invest in, so you present your idea and then you offer the deal by saying, if you invest 10 million in my idea, I'm going to give you 50% of the shares. That's an example for offering the deal. And give a time frame. This is very, very important. Giving a time frame. It's like in our university lectures, in our university assignments also, what they do is they give us a time frame. They give us a deadline. So when the deadline is near, we pull out the long nights and we try to finish it. We definitely finish it before the deadline. So when we give a deadline to a client, also they try to think of it in a best way. So if I tell, what happened in one of the real estate deals was, so I gave my client and I explained everything. He was very interested in it. And I gave him, sir, we only have 5 apartments like that with us. And there are many people who are lining up to buy it. So you have 1 week to think and come back to me. So then that person is going to think he's making the idea all by himself. He's thinking that I'm making an independent idea. But I have given him a time frame, a deadline, which forces him to come up with a solution for that. Come up with a response for what I have given. All right. So within 1 week, I know he will come back to me with a yes or a no. Otherwise, we'll have to wait many days, at least months, for us to hear from our clients. Okay, cool. All right. So next up, we have hi, sorry. So the next up, we have the most important thing I want to teach you guys, and this is the final thing we are going to learn in this session. So that is to sell the problem you solve, not your product. Yes, that's right. Read it again. You need to sell the problem you solve, not your product. Okay, so I'm going to take an example and explain it to you guys. All right. So we all use plastic straws in our day-to-day lives, right? So before Corona, we used to use plastic straws in our day-to-day lives. So at least we use plastic straws when we go to a coffee shop, when we go to a juice hut, and when we drink milk packets, we used to consume plastic straws. And on average, a person uses 5 plastic straws per week. So we have about 30 people in our session today. So 30 times 5 is 150. So we all will be using 150 plastic straws per week, and we are throwing it away to the environment. All right. So according to the 33rd Ocean Conservation Day in 2017, they have found more than 520,000 plastic straws inside fish, which were dead, who were dead. All right. So we are responsible for the deaths of those fish in the oceans, because the plastic straws we use gradually end up in the ocean, and it kills the animals living in the ocean. So we all are so the blood of those animals are in our hands. But as responsible humans, what if we had a solution for that? All right. So that is why I went into my newest business venture of producing bamboo straws. So this bamboo straw is 100% Sri Lankan made, and you can use it up to an year. So remember, we counted that we'll be using uh, one person will be using 5 plastic straws per week. So for the entire year, you will be using around 1,500 plastic straws. And this one bamboo straw could be used per year. So instead using those 1,500 plastic straws, you can use this one plastic straw and be a responsible human. And I'm giving you another brush to clean this bamboo straw. So when you drink smoothies, you can always clean this with hot water and with this brush. And I'm going to give you another packet which you can put it in your pocket in a hygienic way and take it everywhere you want. Okay, so imagine you are taking out your quarantine crush on a date. So after corona is over, you are asking your quarantine crush to come on a date with you, and you go to let's say you go to a coffee bean, and when they try to offer you a plastic straw, you say no, I have my own plastic straw. Okay, so what's the impression that's going to leave in your quarantine crush's heart, right? She's going to think, okay, this person cares about me and also cares about the environment as well. All right. And another way you can use it is when you go to juice huts and everything, and it's going to leave a good impression on you guys. So for the people who join this session, I'm going to give this straw and the brush 100% 100 rupees off. Normally this is at the market for 350 rupees, but you can get it within 1 week. If you are ordering it 1 week, you can get it for 250. Okay. All right. So that was my pitch of the bamboo straw. So I presented you with a problem. I accused you of the deaths of those fish in the sea. And then I gave you a solution where you can overcome it by buying the bamboo straw. And I explained the ins and out of it. And I gave you a time frame. I gave you a 1 week time frame where you can purchase the product with a discount. Okay. So I gave you a problem, and then I showed you the product. Another thing you can use is if your quarantine crush says, I hate boys because the one I had cheated on me, I never want a boy. Okay, so that's a problem you have, right? That's a problem she has, and you need to give a solution to it. Okay, so you can say, look at me, I'm ugly like a chimpanzee. No girl is ever gonna want me. So why don't you go out with me, and I will never hurt you for the rest of your life. You can trust me on that. So she had a problem, and you gave her answer to that. So always when you're pitching something to a client, find a problem that is uh, around the market or the country, and then say why your product, why they consuming your product will help to solve that problem. So that's a big thing you need to know about pitching. Okay, so we learned so many things in today's session, right? So let's reflect on the things we have learned today, because we have come to the end of our session. Let's quickly go to the top slide and we'll refresh on the things we have learned. Okay, cool. All right. So I'm going to take you to the first slide. Okay, so in the first slide, we understood that there is a fundamental difference between the way we pitch and the way client is receiving. So then we went to understand what pitching is. We realized pitching is presenting your idea or a product in a persuasive and a convincing way. So when you're pitching something, you need to convince people to get your product. Yeah. So when you're asking out from your quarantine crush also, you need to make sure that she likes the proposal you're giving. Okay. Then we learned why pitching is important to us, right? We can get selected to our dream job. We can sell a product. That's why we need pitching. We can convince people to buy our product. We can convince people why our product is important than the other products which are in the market. Then I told you a story about my friend, and then we learned about the parts of the brain. We realized that when we are pitching from our neocortex, the client is listening to us from their crocodile brain. Yeah. So we need to that's the fundamental difference we understood, and we learned these three methods where we can switch the crocodile brain of the client to the neocortex. Yeah. And then we learn the strong rules of engagement, those 6 rules that we should do when we are pitching our deal to the neocortex of the client. Right. And then we learned about the afterthoughts we should have. We always should think, did I get through my message well? And was my message well received by the client? And then we learned about the 4P techniques. And the most important one, the 5th P, we learned it was passion. Right. And then we learned about a practical scenario where how we can sell a product. So we need to make the customer emotionally engaged of the product we are selling. Right. Then we had a little history lesson, and we realized that our pictures should be maximum 20 minutes. It should never exceed 20 minutes, right? So then we did a time breakdown for that. And then the final thing we learned today was we need to always sell the problem we solve, not the product. We should not show down our throat our product. This is a bamboo straw. This is made in Sri Lanka. Like that, you should not say. You need to show the problem first, and then show your product as a solution for that problem, right? So that's all I have to say, guys. So it's reflection time. So can any one of you tell me a situation where today's session will be helpful to you in future? So we all know how we can use these things we learned. So can any one of you tell me a place where you can use these things you learned here?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, Samita. Yeah, I'm Shan here.
Hi,
First
Shan.
of all, yeah, thank you very much for the amazing session. And I think when it comes to the reflection part, I probably go for the pitching your big idea thing. In that slide you mentioned about the pitch should be at least around 20 minutes or something. 20 minutes. So mainly that part would be the ideal thing that would make let's say we are pitching anything for corporate sector or anything for whoever the person it is, that thing would be one thing that I can make sure that I can utilize on the time, and also I may be pitching my product very well to the person who is there. So thank you very much for that. That's one of the things that I go through this from session session to a max. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Sean. So I believe you're working with Unilever now, right? So
yeah, Unilever,
yeah, 10 points for Unilever.
Yeah.
Okay.
and also perhaps when it comes to the marketing strategy also, that would be a very plus point for that. If you are marketing anything, it would be a plus point for that.
Awesome. Thank you, Sean, for sharing your idea. So guys, I think we are almost at the end of our session. So you can always ask now. It's the time for it's the stage for you to ask questions, because we have about 30 brilliant minds here. You can share your ideas. You can share your concerns. So it's time for you. And meanwhile, I have posted a link in our chat. So it's a feedback form with just 2 questions. So just take 1 minute and give me a feedback on today's session, because this is the first Zoom session I ever did. And this is like the first kind of training I did online. So just give me a feedback so I can improve next time. Okay, cool. So the stage is up for you to ask questions and share your ideas. So anybody want to share your ideas? Okay, so I have a question regarding elevator pitches. So do you guys know what an elevator pitch is? So the concept came, imagine you are walking into an elevator, you press the button and you get in, and suddenly hand comes and stops the elevator and the CEO of the company gets in to the elevator. So imagine you have about 15 floors to go, like your CEO will go to the 15th floor from the ground floor, and you have about roughly about 30 seconds to pitch whatever the idea you have, right? So you need elevator pitches are called, uh, quick pitches. You have about 30 seconds and you need to give the most valuable things about the part of your pitch. So one instance I had like that was when I went to pitch what ISEC is to the Vice Chancellor of University of Sri Jayawardenepura. So we practiced for days, we made presentations, and we were like very thorough with what we are going to say. And when we went inside Vice Chancellor's room, it was like, Uta, you have 5 minutes. And we were shocked. We were prepared for about at least 30 minutes, right? So in an elevator pitch, you need to summarize all your things. You should not introduce yourself at least. Hi, this is the idea I have. So our company has a problem like this. The employees who are working on foreign real estate deals, they have this problem and I have a solution for that. So again, that's where you need to focus on telling the problem first and then the answer you have. Or if you have an idea, if you have a startup idea, so in these times of corona, so you need to you might have different ideas. And imagine you are getting a chance to speak to the president of Sri Lanka. You would not have so much time. You have about 1 minute 2 minutes to talk to him. So you need to summarize all your ideas to 30 seconds or maximum 1 minute when you're doing an elevator pitch. So the first thing you need to do, you need to tell there is a problem like this and I have the answer. This is the answer. So that's all you need to do. All you need to do. And if your CEO is interested, he'll ask you to come to his office to explain more about it. Okay. Do we have more questions? Any challenges you came across while using these techniques? Sometimes what happens is when I'm at the end of my like when I'm in through my session, the client I want to talk gets distracted. That's something like that, and he has an emergency or things like that. So uh, those are few of the challenges I faced. But rather than that, after I started using these techniques, the challenges I faced before I knew anything about this and the challenges I faced after I started using these techniques were absolutely zero. So other than the clients being distracted from a sudden phone call or something like that, the techniques I talked about today works smoothly. All right. Any more? Okay then, guys.
Hi, Samita. Good evening.
Hi.
I'm sorry for the interrupting. So if you want to go ahead, you can go ahead with the question so I can comment later.
No. I think people are done with the questions. If you have anything to share, take your time. Okay then, guys. I think we are
Hi, Samita.
done with the session.
Yeah,
And
Samita, can you hear me?
yeah, hi.
Manish, so Samita, I want to know about the personal pitching. That means personal pitching means imagine I want to pitch for the for a job interview or for a award or something like that. So I want to do some personal pitch about me. He is asking about you. So about like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So how can I divide myself? That means my university, what I did in university, my ambitions, a lot of things in there. So how can I divide my time according to my pitch, and how to do a correct pitch about myself?
Okay, awesome. Nice question, Malish. Thank you. So I'll answer your question as well as when you are facing a company interview, one of the main questions they ask is, tell me about you. That's a main question they ask. Tell us something about you. So if you start telling, my name is Samita, I did this, I did that, I graduated from University of Sri Javadanapura, that's not what they want to hear. So when they tell me, when they ask the question, tell me about you or tell us about you, you need to make sure that you tell the company what they will get from hiring you. So if somebody asks from me, what like tell me about you, I will say, I was the former business development vice president, and I am a real estate entrepreneur. I have made about 1,000 cold calls, and I have made about nearly 100 pitches, and I think 90% of them were successful. So by hiring me, you would get someone who is willing to work hard and who has a proven track record to your company. Okay, so you can add more to that stuff, but that's what you need to say when someone asks, tell me about you. And the question you asked, Malish, was about pitching ourselves, right? So if we have about 10, like in the best employability skills about presentation, I had about 15 minutes to present myself. So what I did was, I did not focus on one thing. I told them about everything I have done in the 22 years of my life. I told them about the sports I did. I told them about the ISEC works I did. I told them about the conferences I organized. I told them about the things I have compared. I told them about the stock market where I have invested. I told them about the tourism business I am running. I told them about this bamboo straw as well. And I told them about the innovative ideas I have come up with. I told them about the researches I have done. I told them about the charity work I have done, the aesthetic side of I have done, the instruments that I have played. So I told them that I was not a like I know I'm not the best top. I know I'm not the sports captain of a team. But even though I'm not a pro at one particular field, I'm a pro at many different fields. So when you're pitching something like that, so if you, I know you're a good video editor, Malish, so you can take about 5 minutes, like 2-3 minutes, and tell about the things you have done, the videos you have made, the YouTube blogs you have made. But don't just stop from there. Talk about the other things you have done. Your experiences with organizing the Youth Speak Forum, which happened in BMICH, you can tell that. That's a huge plus point, because companies want people who can lead, people who can take initiatives and do big things. They do not want the people who just do type an Excel sheet, something like that. They want leaders to companies. So Malish, to answer your question, pitch everything you have done in take short times, about 30 seconds to explain one thing, and pitch about 12 things you have done in your life. So make a list of 12 important things you have done and pitch them. Okay, thank you for the question. Do we have any more? Brian, you wanted to share something, right?
Yeah, but I wanted to, give you time to answer questions. If it is that also, I can go ahead.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I wanted to give some time to question the questions, so then after that I can go.
Okay. All right. So
All I can go ahead.
I think the time for question is over, right? We are not getting any more questions.
Oh, there's another. All right, Samita.
Okay.
It was I mean, I should really grateful to to you that organizing such a good training about pitching, and it's about awareness who can really into a corporate sector. I would say so. Now your presentation and the things that you have taught everyone, I think I should thankful for all of them who are in the loop at the moment. So all interested people around, so cheers to you. And what I see that the great potential in you was like we are really lacking in the field such characters like you. We need more people like you into the industry. So what matters is because even I use some people to introduce product services within my employment, but sometimes even I feel that if I could do the session, that would be great, because I know people can't really hear, and they don't really interact with the person, the facilitator. So but the way you really shoot your idea is like incredible. It's very nice. It's really matching with the content and your characteristic and the points that you want to share. It's really matching. It's all bridging among each idea. So you have a great future, and wish you all the best. And I want to tell you something. And there was I think you might not really focus that one of the senior corporate trainer coach was in your loop, and he was texting me while listening to you actually. So he actually left because he's handling a few webinars at this time. So but he was there, and he wanted to see you and hear what you're saying. And he was there, and he said that you have good potential as well. So yeah, so he's Rukmal De Silva. You can search for him. um, right. So I want to congratulate. I want to say that you have a long way to go, but you will achieve it in very short period. So all the best, and we'll see you very soon in physical, not in virtual but in physical trainings. And yeah, good luck, Manli. Well
Thank you
done.
so much for your comment. Thank you so much. Right. So thank you everyone for joining this session. So it was a pleasure sharing my ideas and knowledge with you. So we can officially stop the session if you have no other questions. Right. So please fill the feedback form when you are ready. All right. So thank you so much. Have a healthy and a happy Valentine. Take care, guys. Bye.